So I remember that the genesis of this started when we had this opportunity to open the library in Orchard Road. It was, it's a heart of the city, the shopping district, and we wanted to have that opportunity to do something different. And because it was in Orchard Road, we thought, hey, why not have something that's focused on a space that is beautiful, aesthetic, inspiring, a community space that is different, a place that is a refuge for learning, an inspirational space where you can access books and magazines as well. And in our heads at that time, we had the idea that we wanted to bring design to everyone, and a library is a place where you can bring an idea to so many members of the community. And we were thinking about how to do that, And of course, as you know, when you work with partners, the sum is always greater than the parts. And we looked for the right partners to work with. And you guys at Singapore Poly, because of your passion for design thinking, your passion for design, you're just the absolute right partners. Moreover, we ourselves in the library, we wanted to learn. It was new to us, design thinking as a methodology. So we wanted a partner who wasn't just going to journey with us on one project, but was going to impart, that whole methodology and thinking to us, so that we could go away and run with it and use it for more and more of our library projects as well. Yeah.
And I remember coming into the project, we had such large shoes to fill, because if you remember, what preceded this was the library in Ngee Ann City above Kinokuniya, right?
Yeah.
And at that point of time, people thought that was the quintessential urban library.
Yes.
Like everybody loved the library, and when it closed, there was an outcry from the community, right, from the public. And when the public heard that we're going to do a library in Orchard, to replace that one, I remember there were very high expectations to fill, because everybody was hyping it up, right? Oh, are we going to get a library as nice as an old one?
Yes. The whole design thinking process and the journey that we had with citizens, with librarians, with polytechnic students, with the architectural consultants, really gave us a library that had many firsts, other than that wonderful acoustic ceiling that you mentioned, which really served the purpose of the library of being beautiful but also be quiet, and private. It was a library that had the first beautiful magazine wall, which you see over there. And we've replicated this in many libraries. The DVD display was wonderful.
Yeah.
The maker spaces, the fact that we had flexible programming spaces, and that really brought a lot of benefit to library goers, because library goers found that there was so much variety. Library goers came here and found that, they were inspired to read, the display also gave them that opportunity to discover. They went around the bookshelves were in a little curve that enhanced discovery.
Yes.
And when they wanted to read, there were the cocoons for them to hide away in. And if they wanted to sit with friends, there were the curved community tables, that gave them that opportunity.
Yes.
So it was really a library of first for us, and a library that paved the way for many things that we did after we learned from that whole journey. So it's been a wonderful and a passionate learning experience, not just for the users of the library, but for our own librarians, and library planners. It's been wonderful.
And I think we decided to just celebrate the way that people will move through the spaces, right? And it's not very often that you get a library where you can say that, hey, let's celebrate them lounging in all kinds of positions. And we created this space for them to do exactly that, right? That they feel free to just take off your shoes and just climb up.
Which they do,
And just lie down with a book in your hand and all that. And we were very consciously saying that there's no there is no just one posture to be in the library.
Right.
So let's now just start celebrating whatever you want to do in the library. Of course, all within paying respect to the act of reading and
Yes.
books. And so we created all these spaces where they could sort of, come in through a small little gap in the bookshelf and then see somebody else around the corner.
Yes.
And all that is about the celebration of discovery.
Yes.
And it brings the discovery out from just reading the pages into the actual space itself.
Yeah.
And it was all meant to celebrate the user.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because you celebrate, with this library, we celebrate the user and we celebrate the books,
Yes, yes.
because the books are the stars in this library. They add color, they add vibrancy,
Yes.
and they just draw our users to
Yes.
come and look, and look and
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
and start on that journey of discovery when you open a book.
Yeah. And a library is all about books.
Yes.
And all about text. And we use typology to really inform our design. So for example, if you look at how we label the spaces, 1, make, 2, imagine, these were all celebrated in the design. They were really strong elements. When you walk through the spaces, you see typology. When we designed this library, we really respected what was required in the
Right,
design of a library.
yes.
For example, acoustics is one very important element in all libraries, right? And you see that we've turned this requirement for acoustics into a terrain that we flip into the ceiling. And it becomes like almost a journey that you take when you walk through the front gate and all the way to the end where you reach the books,
Yes.
right? And this space is informed by what was essentially required in a library. It's quite evident that the team that came together to do this were all book lovers. Because if you just move around the library, right, essentially you see the books as being the terrain,
Yes.
right? They are the geometric forms, they are the spaces in the city that you walk through. And everything's all formed by books. And it really pays off how much energy we tried to put into the display of the books itself. So from designing the shelves which were curved, okay, and designing minimal fascia to the bookshelves, and also designing the lighting details, so that you show the books off to the maximum, and just tell people that, hey, this is all about books,
Yeah.
and the space around us is all shaped by books.
Yeah, you're absolutely right,
Yeah.
Gareth. You reminded me that
Yeah.
everybody who worked on this project really loved books
Yes.
and really cared about the libraries, from the students that worked with us and from our architectural consultants. Didn't you feel that everybody really cared?
Yeah, and especially during the interview process
Yeah.
with the public, you can really feel the passion. Because we held the interviews around, I think it was 7:30 after work. It was like maybe on a Monday, some was on a Monday, some was Tuesdays. And then you can see them actually like going off after work just to go there and like engage with us. It shows a lot of passion, Like other people would just go home after work.
Right.
And they would stay up till really late, until like 9 p.m., 9 p.m., maybe after that, just to share with them, just to share with us their experiences and what they would want and need with the library.
Yeah, no,
You
absolutely.
really see their passion. And talking about the old library, and talking about the shoes to fill, right? The old Orchard Library at Ngee City, you can really see the passion of the people.
Who come and browse.
Who come and browse and they're saying, oh, when is the Orchard Library going to come back?
Correct.
Unfortunately, this is what we give back
Yeah,
to them.
that's right. You students were very passionate too.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, it was great to have you guys on board. Yeah.
And I think they bring that lens into the project,
Yeah.
where they are at that age where they're still very engaged with books.
Yeah.
And that was one very surprising takeaway we had, which was that when we went to the users and we spoke to them, we have half expected everybody to have moved on to e-books already. But then you'll be surprised that so many people who still appreciate the physical presence of a book, the colors that it brings, flipping through the pages, the smell of it, right?
Yeah.
And that physical enjoyment of a book is really still out there in the community.
Yes.
And I'm glad we have a space that celebrates that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think not just it's not just the books, that form the background. Now, when the library opens, you have a lot of events happening, and the events, the use of this space, together with the books, brings that whole community experience alive. We've had wonderful response to this library. The people who come to this library are such supporters and such fans, and they go off and tell people that this is a place where it's been designed for people to come and discover, and it's designed for them to come and discover not just on their own, but together with others and to learn new things. So it's been wonderful for us.
Yeah, and also remember one of the insights we gleaned from the users was that in this day and age where the process of creation has been democratized, right? That people were essentially interested in creating content, not so much about just consuming. And that's why it gave birth to all these spaces, the makerspace,
absolutely.
the program zones,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Where they could come in, engage the community, and start to create content themselves.
Yeah, and the maker spaces here in the library have been a huge success.
Yeah.
They've been a huge success because they were designed, by our library staff and with you all, with the user in mind.
Yeah.
And people who come here to do the maker programs, they just feel inspired, and they feel they really want to interact with the space and learn something different.
Yeah,
That's
and that was
wonderful.
consciously also why we created this whole theme of design, where in the process of designing, they had this literature about design to help them
Yes.
in that process.
You
right?
remember the design brief was design is for everyone,
Yes, yes.
And I think that just speaks to our passion of bringing design to the community and making it something that they can internalize, that they can enjoy, but that they can see how it makes a difference to the learning experience and the reading experience.
This journey has been so gratifying and so it's made us learn a lot also.
Right.
Okay, that in the process of pursuing the ideal library, that we now know so much about the reading community and the community
Yes.
at large.
Yes.
Right, and how this would serve them. And if you look at the thing about libraries, essentially it is a social space. It exists for people. And when we say that design is for everyone, it's literally a tool with which they can participate in the making of the society. And I think this is everything that came together to produce this library was wonderful.
Yeah.
Right down from the intention to the theme, to how it was carried out,
Yeah.
to the level of refinement in architecture
Yes.
that we've experienced.
Yeah.
And everything just came together so wonderfully.
And I think it's wonderful how through a library we expose the man in the street to design, and how design can make a difference, and how design is something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And I think to me that was really, really wonderful as well. Yeah.
I think I must give credit to the team and especially to all the members of the firm that spent a lot of time crafting the project because, as I said, details are important and they really spent a lot of effort reiterating. Even the book tree, it took about 7 or 8 reiterations.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult actually coming up with something to tie in everything together.
This was essentially designed by a whole team, right? Not just one person. And I even remember that when we had the builder, the contractor on board, and we said that we wanted a DVD shelves that was like landforms, right? The contractor himself designed the
Remember
shelf for us,
Yeah.
right? It was not us who designed the shelf, but it was the contractor who designed the shelf. So every single step of this whole process has been creation
Yeah.
from everybody who was involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to the inspiration that design can bring to everyone that comes into contact with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think that's been a wonderful journey for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've built learning community circles also in a public space. And I think that speaks to the library's mission as a social touch point. We've had lots of users say wonderful things about this space. And I think it goes back to what we wanted, which was, that design should be for everyone and that it should make everyone feel at home.